Eric Clapton, Life in 12 Bars. It's a Showtime special. Let's talk about it. Don't go away. Well, hi there, and thanks for joining us here at Rock Hard Riffs. This is the guitar channel for the self-taught and other cool rock and roll stuff. Today is other cool rock and roll stuff for you. We're going to talk about the Eric Clapton Life in 12 Bars documentary that's been on Showtime. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. This type of content, guys, just to say to you, if you like this type of content, we ask that you please subscribe. That lets us know that you want us to keep doing this kind of thing along with the guitar stuff, etc. So let us know if you would, please, by subscribing or leaving a comment. And as we always do, let's read what they have to say about this. This documentary contextualizes Eric Clapton's role in contemporary music and cultural history. Told through his own words, it reflects on his traumatic childhood, his difficult struggle with drugs and alcohol, the loss of his son, and how he always found his inner strength and healing in music. It features extensive interviews with Clapton himself, along with his family, friends, musical collaborators, contemporaries, and heroes, including late music icons B.B. King, Jimi Hendrix, and George Harrison. This was directed by Oscar winner Lily Zanuck. Okay guys, let's talk about the documentary itself. It starts with Eric as a child and some of the stuff that he had gone through in his childhood, which is pretty tough stuff. Who he thought was his sister was actually his mother, and she had run off to Canada, and who he thought was his mother was actually his grandmother. Now, if you've watched this, I don't want to give it all away. I don't want to talk about the whole thing, but Eric Clapton is not alone in this. This is very similar to Jack Nicholson's story and Bobby Darin, too, as well, if you know who Bobby Darin is. Look him up, D-A-R-I-N, if you're not familiar with him. Similar stories. Got to be really, really tough. His mother basically just abandoned him. And then she came back, and he asked her if he could call her mother or mom, and she told him no. So you can imagine what the rest of that does to your psychology. That's tough stuff. And he, like so many musicians, and in many ways myself, sought music as a refuge. A place to go where there's no BS, no nonsense. It's there. So we talk about his childhood, and then it talks about his early experiences in rock and roll. First by joining, of course, the Yardbirds. So it starts with Eric in the Yardbirds. And they talk about how they had met the Beatles. And this is where, maybe the producers of this movie don't think that Beatle fans and Clapton fans cross over. Well, guess what they do. And also, we tend to be very detail-oriented about our Beatles. And, of course, Clapton fans about Clapton. Just as any, thing that you research and study. But there were some omissions that are in the documentary and just some outright BS. They're just factually incorrect. Now, one of them is that they're saying that they're interviewing Paul McCartney when it was George Harrison that they were interviewing, and that they had an interview from Eric Clapton where he was saying the Beatles are just a bunch of wankers, except for George, who played the guitar. And that's how they put it in this documentary, which is a complete omission of what Eric actually said. And you can look up George Harrison's Living in the Material World as a cross-reference to see what Eric Clapton actually said about the Beatles early on. What he said was they all thought, because the Beatles they're a big pop band, that they were a bunch of wankers until they met them, and that they were very kind and cool and accepting of them for what they do, like blues, rock, whatever it may be. That was the true statement that Eric said, not how they represent it, not in this, but in the documentary. So that's just a complete all-out falsehood on that one. So you're caught. Sorry, busted. Anyway, so then it goes through his different incarnations through the years up until, you know, they talk about his heroin addiction and also his relationship with Patty Boyd and alcohol and all that. And, you know, boy, you know, we have this epidemic of the opioid stuff and all that now. This is nothing new. It's the same drug, just coming to wielding its ugly head again. Be smart, stay away from it. Just a complete waste of your time and energy. That's what drugs and drink do. They waste your time and energy. That's the sermon for the day. I'm going to leave it alone from there. So just ask Eric Clapton. He'd be the first one to tell you guys. So, and Patty Boyd, wow. How many songs have been written for that one woman? She truly has rocked the world, Patty Boyd. You figured the song Something was written for her, Layla, Bell Bottom Blues, Wonderful Tonight, and I'm sure others by Eric, and maybe even by George that he'd never admitted to. You never know. But there's a lot of Patty Boyd in this documentary, a lot more than there was in the George Harrison documentary. I was kind of surprised by that. But so that's good, because, you know, you need to hear her part. It's very important. She was very important in the rock and roll scene, and of course the lives of George and Eric, very obviously. So anyway, I would give this documentary maybe 3.5 out of 5, just because some of the glaring omissions that are in it. Now, it ends at Eric's Crossroads Guitar Festival concerts. If you've ever seen any of those Crossroads concerts, they are outstanding. They are amazing. They cover everything top to bottom, country to hard rock to blues to rhythm and blues to jazz, just to experimental. If you ever have a chance, watch some of those Eric Clapton Crossroads festivals. They're definitely worth your time, in my opinion. Again, so guys, I would give this about, not this, this is a record. This is Eric Clapton's greatest hits. I'm just showing you, giving you something to look at as we talk. About a 3.5 out of 5. I would definitely recommend watching it, but go into it knowing that they have made some errors in it. Now, I've caught a couple, and who knows about others. And there's other parts of Eric's life that they did omit. I have read his autobiography, and there's stuff that's missing. So, you know, but that's how the media plays it, right? They let you know what they want you to know. For some bizarre reason. Yeah, that's just another way of censorship, in my opinion, which is a bunch of hooey. You can censor yourself, but not other people, in my opinion. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm trying to compete with the Olympics and all that stuff going on at the same time. That's why my videos are coming out earlier than normal. What I've been trying to do is to come out Sunday evening around 7 o'clock, Tuesday evening around 7 o'clock, and sometime Friday morning. That's when I'm trying to release my videos. But with the Olympics and all that, my viewership, the little viewership that I have, has absolutely plummeted to almost nothing. So I definitely appreciate you folks that are watching and subscribing. We truly appreciate you watching during these times, during the Olympics. It's depressing. Anyway, that's just how it goes. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something out of this. I do recommend watching it, but just go into it knowing it's not complete. So I give it an I and an M. Misleading in some ways and incomplete in other ways. So, all right, rock and roll, guys, and we will see you next video.